So Matt and Magda, they passed me on this painting last week, or the middle of last week, and right when they passed me, I just took it off my easel and leaned it up in my studio so I couldn't see it any longer, because I just wanted to start something fresh, because I just got so frustrated with this painting and I really wasn't enjoying it or liking how it was turning out. So this is the first time that I put it up on the easel to look at it to make this video, so it's actually not as bad as I was playing it up in my head. I did learn a lot with this painting, kind of how to move paint around, and also just a lot of what not to do with painting. This painting has been drying for a few days, and so some of the parts have sunken in, but for the purposes of this video, so you can actually see the paint that's on here, I'm gonna oil it out. So I'm using an oiling out medium, and it contains walnut oil, poppy oil, just a little bit of turpentine, and Damar varnish. And this is going to give the painting just a refreshed look. It's going to get the sunken areas out so everything kind of has an even look to it. And it's really important to use just a small amount of oil. So as I dunk just the tip of my brush in the oil, I'm really pushing the bristles to the side and the top of the jar to try and get all of the oil out of the brush as much as possible. So I'm using as little oil as possible. And I'm also crouching down to look to see how the light is hitting the painting. I want to make sure that the oil is getting spread out evenly everywhere, so there's no part that is getting too much oil or where the oil is not getting rubbed over. So I'm really making sure that there are no matte areas left on the painting and everything has that refreshed look to it. This is my second cast painting that I've done at the Ravenswood Atelier. And this is all done in Grisaille, which is the French word for gray. So I used 3 colors to make this, which is white, raw umber, and black. Now, I struggled a lot with this painting, trying to get a sense of light on it, show structure and planes, and also temperature, and also how I was literally applying the paint. And I think temperature and how I was literally applying the paint, like brushstroke next to brushstroke, wasn't coming natural to me, and it was a real struggle with those 2 elements. So by the end of it, this painting was just taking too long to complete, and I think I was just stuck on those 2 elements, so I just kind of threw those away for the time being. So there aren't a lot of temperature, or there's hardly any temperature shifts really. I kind of repainted the whole thing the last week that I was working on this with just white and raw umber, so I didn't have that black, which is kind of like your blue or your cold temperature shifts. I found that putting textures in a painting really early, and then also I should just say that I really love textures in a painting. I think that's a really good idea to explore different things that you can do with the painting, just to even make the surface of it look really cool. But anyways, so what I learned when I was putting textures in really early, a lot of them were right around this area, which I think is the focal point of this painting because it's the brightest area as well. But I was really laying a lot of paint down and getting scratchy painting textures with how the bristles were pulling the paint across to make it look scratchy. And then also using my palette knife and some other different methods that I was using. But I actually found those were getting in the way later on. When I needed to go back and reestablish the value structure of everything, it was really hard to get seamless transitions laid over texture. That was really, really hard. And the textures were fun to do, but I kind of regretted it later on. So I think that if I'm going to be adding textures in, I really need to wait till I'm further along with the painting and the painting's more established, so I know that they're really going to make sense with the structure of the painting and not just be kind of random cool textures. Also, a big thing for this painting that I learned was how much medium I should be using. I was using practically no medium when I started this one, and that was building up this paint layer that was really thick, but it's like the brush strokes that I was laying down weren't really like fusing together because the paint was like really dry and it kind of like didn't give a nice surface. It was kind of bumpy to work on. Again, it was like with the textures, it just wasn't good to be laying paint over again. So I was learning to do more and more medium, and I don't know, like medium, I kind of naturally stray away from using it because I don't want to be using too much medium anyway. I just like the way that paint is by itself. But I found that I do need to use a little bit of medium to make the painting layer all kind of fuse together and lay nice. And I do have my next cast set up, and I'm really excited to work on it. So I'm going to be taking a lot that I learned from this one, kind of what not to do with paint, and applying it to the other one, and I know my next painting is going to be a lot better.